You survived the golden age of disaster films in the 1970s, and you made it all the way to the 90s, only for disaster films to be resurrected once again in glorious, brutal spectacle. That's right, we're back for part 2 of my disaster film series and my 3 favorite disaster films of the 90s. If you watched part 1 of this, we talked about The Poseidon Adventure, The Towering Inferno, and Jaws. Today we are talking about films that are not just all about spectacle. Sorry, Armageddon, Volcano, Independence Day. We're talking about films that not only have awesome and practical effects and spectacle, but also bring together people that we actually care for, root for, and want to see succeed and survive the disaster that they are in. The first film I want to talk about is one that everybody knows and everybody thinks about when you think of disaster films. I'm talking about Twister. It's got that classic formula of man versus nature, in this case, a tornado. What really is amazing about the film is the practical effects, one, but the care they take in developing characters that we really care about. So Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, they're not your usual spies or secret agents or superheroes or action stars. They're scientists, they're nerds, they're regular people like us. You know, this sounds kind of crazy because I think I would die instantly. If you could build a giant like hamster ball that was reinforced and climb inside and then go into a tornado and just like ride it around like a roller coaster or something like that, I kind of think I could live. I think I do. Can you imagine the sound inside of a tornado? In this film, they used lion and tiger roars to give you that sort of visceral, just growling sound. The tornado is a great choice for a disaster film because unlike a hurricane or strong wind or something like that, a tornado is a very unmistakable shape. If you've seen a tornado, it's that the whole circular cyclone look, but also the dark sky and like that point touching the earth, and you can just see destruction in its path. That's a very scary thing to see coming at you. So yeah, Twister, great choice for a disaster film if you're in the mood for one. It's fun, it's very entertaining, it's a great popcorn film, and the sequel, Twisters, that came out a few years ago is actually also pretty good. So watch the first one and then watch the next one. Good double feature. Now let's go away from tornadoes and twisters and water and hurricanes and things like that and go to something more primal, more terrifying, more immediate. I'm talking about 1997's Dante's Peak. Volcano also came out in 97, I believe, and it stars Tommy Lee Jones, but Volcano is kind of cheesy and stupid and silly. Dante's Peak has a surprisingly accurate and realistic feel to it with its pyroclastic clouds, ash blocking the car engine so they can't go, and it brings you Pierce Brosnan not as James Bond or some secret agent. He's a volcanologist. He's someone who studies volcanoes. He's not an action hero. He's just doing his best to help people survive. And you have Linda Hamilton, the mayor. She's not evil. She's not egotistical. There's really no villains in Dante's Peak, right? The volcano blows and the lava and the ash, they're the villains. It's pure nature. There's no villains here. The film does a really good job at making you care not only about Pierce Brosnan's character, Linda Hamilton's character, and her kids, but also Pierce Brosnan's team that come to investigate. You care about these people. You want them to survive because no one's an asshole in this film. And that's missing from a lot of films because it can't just be nature, because you need a physical manifestation of nature, so you always have to put a villain in. So all those modern films, they have to have some sort of human presence to be the villain, so you can point at that person and be like, I'm rooting against him, because it's hard to root against nature. But I don't think these films are about rooting against nature as so much as it is rooting for our heroes to survive and make it through this ordeal. Now, Dante's Peak has one of the most unnecessary deaths in cinema. The family, the kids, everyone is trapped, and the only way they can get away from this particular spot that they're in is over a lake. Now, because of the ash and the lava and everything else, the lake has become acidic and you can't really go through it. Grandma puts the kids on a boat and sacrifices herself by pushing the boat out and walking with the boat. Now, she could have just gotten in the boat and helped paddle or do something else. It was a completely unnecessary death. It's dark. It's a PG-13 movie and you're watching Grandma basically boil alive as she's pushing her grandkids across the lake. But it's also like, Grandma, just get on the boat with them, bro. I just can't believe how silly Grandma is. Why is she doing that, man? The kids are brutal. They could have let her on the boat. They probably wanted Grandma to die to get her inheritance or something. Needless deaths in these films are common. They're kind of funny. They're not supposed to be funny. They're supposed to be horrific, but they're funny because they're so silly. So yeah, Dante's Peak has one of those. But Dante's Peak is interesting because in a lot of disaster films, you have this silver lining, right? Day after tomorrow, they make it to a certain point in the earth where life is habitable again. Armageddon, they blow up the meteor and they save the Earth. The Towering Inferno, they stop the fire and most people survive. In Dante's Peak, yes, a lot of characters get away and a lot die, but the whole town is destroyed. That's a pretty bleak ending for a PG-13 film. In my 70s video, I talked about Jaws as one of the best disaster films of the 70s, and it's a film that most people don't really consider a disaster film, and I made my case for that. This time, I'm talking about a film that most people will consider disaster, but also because of what happens in it. This is way too much talking. Holy crap, just shut up. I'm talking about Apollo 13. This film is tense as hell. The special effects and the graphics, I just rewatched this film maybe 6 months ago. This film holds up. It looks amazing still. You have memorable quotes and memorable scenes in it. It's the whole square peg scene where they dump a bunch of stuff on the table and they're like, you have to fit this into this using this. It's the failure is not an option line. It's interesting because it's something that actually really happened. So people who aren't familiar with the Apollo 13 mission, this gives them a chance to look into a historical event that actually happened and see the kind of things that went into that. I don't know exactly how accurate all of it is, but damn is it entertaining. All these films that you see where it's a disaster film like this or any kind of action film where there's like a command center and you have all your people of power in this command center, I'm like, I would want to act as one of those people. So Ed Harris and all his mission specialists, they're basically just in these rooms figuring stuff out and talking to each other and talking to the astronauts on Apollo 13, and it sounds like a great acting gig if you can get it. It is a great space movie. I find space to also be scary. Any kind of open, vast expanse that's dark is terrifying to me. So them being out there and dealing with the cold and the lack of oxygen, it just hits you in all the feels. It just feels like a bad, scary situation to be in. The acting is great. The cast is amazing. Ron Howard does a great job directing. I'm pretty hit and miss on Ron Howard films. Some are great, some I don't love so much. But Apollo 13 is definitely a masterpiece, one of his best films ever, and one of the greatest disaster films ever made. So there you have it. 3 awesome disaster films of the 90s, also 3 awesome disaster films from the golden age in the 70s. If you're looking for something cool to watch this holiday season and you don't want to watch the normal Christmas stuff or Elf or Christmas Story or anything like that, and you want something tense and thrilling and exciting, watch one of these disaster films. They're fun to watch. They're popcorn movies. They're just fun movies to enjoy with your family and friends, and they give you a nice alternative to all the holiday fare this Christmas season. Did I get it right? Are these the 3 best disaster films of the 90s, or am I way off and there's way better disaster films? Let me know. And if you stuck around, please leave me a like and a comment. Subscribe to the channel. Help me continue growing and bring you awesome material. If there's something you want me to cover, please let me know. And I wish you a happy holiday season this time of year. I hope you are enjoying yourself. Hope you have some time off to spend with family and friends, and that everything is going well for you this year. And I hope to see you next year. Let's make it great. Let's grow together and have a great time. So until then, stop scrolling, start watching.